The world of tax and transfer pricing as we know it is changing. The Global Tax Reset, including BEPS Action 13, increases compliance burdens and tax authority enforcement of multinational corporations' tax and transfer pricing positions. As a result, multinational corporations may need to prepare more transfer pricing documentation than ever before. Increased transparency measures will require a focus on consistency across the world. And with the introduction of the three-tier documentation approach, companies will need to do more with less. Many multinational companies will face the challenges of determining the scope of what needs to be documented, in which jurisdictions documentation is required, and the associated work involved. This won't always be easy and may be very time-consuming. To address these concerns, Deloitte has developed a strategic scoping tool as a major enhancement to the Deloitte TP Digital DoX solution. The strategic scoping tool combines Deloitte's vast knowledge of global transfer pricing requirements, including real-time updates of regulatory changes, and your company's key entity and intercompany transaction information, which can be uploaded into the strategic scoping tool by you or by your Deloitte client service team. The strategic scoping tool then applies our proprietary algorithm to process this information in a globally consistent and reliable manner. The outcome is a recommended scope of intercompany transactions to be documented for each entity and country under consideration. You then have the ability to review this initial recommended scope, including unprecedented direct insight into the individual external and company-specific factors that shape Deloitte's scoping assessment on a transaction-by-transaction, entity-by-entity, or country-by-country basis. Not only do you have the ability to explore each scoping decision in depth, but you may also comment upon and modify the proposed scope directly within Deloitte TP Digital DoX. Once the scope of entities and transactions to be covered is agreed upon, an associated work plan is automatically generated. The work plan factors into account leverage and synergies across in-scope workflows, as well as the level of involvement from Deloitte teams around the globe. The work plan is then readily available and immediately executable upon project commencement, enabling the necessary resources to be devoted to the project before it even begins. Using this initial scoping assessment and work plan development as a basis, we can then collaboratively refine and adjust various factors, including what transactions should be in scope and what type of report should be prepared for each entity. The strategic scoping tool can quickly help to understand how these adjustments will impact the work required to prepare the documentation. That's it. The strategic scoping tool suggests the scope of countries, entities, and intercompany transactions to be documented. Determines the work involved before you get started, so the project can begin in a timely manner and be efficiently managed. Allows you complete flexibility to dynamically adjust the scope and project plan as desired. And gives you peace of mind that you've got a globally compliant and consistent approach to your transfer pricing documentation in place. A wise man once said, "Having no plan is a plan to fail." It's not clear if he was referring to his company's transfer pricing documentation strategy, but either way, it's good advice. Let's start scoping strategically today.